Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers, sovereign thinkers, the L3Zeros podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy Mango, South Florida, and today's date is Thursday, August 23rd, 2018. Yeah, it's just one of those things, one of those days, and almost lost my patience. But it's gotta hang in there. It's not the biggest thing, but it's one of those inconvenience, I would say. I just got too much crap in my files on my notebook, and I tried to do the show, and it got compromised at the third effing time, I would say. But that's all right. Okay, well, I'm gonna add in the footnotes after this after everything gets published. But I'm gonna start off here by Counterpunch. It says here, Julian Assange and the Fate of Journalism, written by Lawrence Davison. Julian Assange is the Australian founder of WikiLeaks, a website dedicated to the public right to know what government and other powerful organizations are doing. WikiLeaks pursued this goal by posting revelatory documents often acquired unofficially that brings to light the criminal behavior that results in wars and other man-made disasters. Because WikiLeaks' very existence outright encourages leaks, government officials fear the website and particularly dislike Julian Assange. Essentially, WikiLeaks function as a whole supplier of evidence, have identified alleged official misconduct. WikiLeaks to acquire to make public overwhelming amounts of evidence, sometimes hundreds of thousands of documents at a time, which journalists and other interested parties can draw upon. And since individuals and organizations being investigated are ones ultimately responsible to the public, such a role as wholesale suppliers of evidence can be seen as a public service. Unfortunately, this is not how most government officials see the situation. They assert that government cannot be successful unless aspects of its behavior are conducted in secret. In fact, those aspects in question thereby lose any accountable connection to the public is discounted. The assumption here is that most citizens simply trust their governments to act in their interests, including when they act clandestinely. Historically, such trust is dangerously naive. Official government officials, even democratic ones, feel no obligation to the citizens in general, but rather only to special interests. One reason for this is that large and bureaucratic institutions that, for any length of time, have the tendency to become standalone institutions, ones with their own self-referencing cultures, loyalty to which comes to override any responsibility to outside groups other than those with particular shared interests. In other words, long-lasting institutions, bureaucracies can take a life on their own. Thus, it should come as no surprise that many governments look upon WikiLeaks as a threat to institutional well-being, and so in an effort to cripple WikiLeaks and have their revenge on Assange. The United States and the United Kingdom, with the cooperation of Sweden, first sought to frame Assange in 2010 to a sexual assault charge. This having failed, Assange was still left liable for jumping bail in the UK in order to avoid seizure and deportation to the US, where he would certainly be put on trial for revealing secrets. He escaped to the Ecuadorian embassy in London in 2012, where he was given asylum. As of this writing, he is still there. However, a recent change in government in Quito has led to discussions between Ecuador and the UK that may well lead Assange's eviction from the embassy. The ideals of journalism, some of the anger over Assange's fate, has been directed at the journalistic profession which he has sought to serve. After all, Assange had inherent and ardently supported notions of free speech, free press, and the public's right to know. Nonetheless, as the documentary filmmaker John Pilger, a supporter of Assange, has noted, there has been no pressure in support of Assange from the media in the United States, Britain, Australia, or pretty much anywhere except in media programs. Outside the mainstream, the persecution of this man has been something that should horrify all free-thinking people. He is quite right. Unfortunately, there have never been many brave free thinkers about, so no one should be surprised at Assange's poor prospects. This brings up the difference between the ideas of journalistic profession and with realities within which it operates. There is a model of journalism that presents as a pillar of democracy. The journalist is a tough and persistent person who digs up facts, asks hard questions, and explains the truth to his or her readers, viewers. Few seem to have noticed that to the extent that this picture is accurate, the ideal model has alienated those viewers who cannot tell the difference between the truth and their own opinions. Recently, this alienation has opened the entire media industry to the charge that is really the enemy of the people because it peddles fake news that is news that belies one's opinions. To bring the idealistic journalists in line with real public expectations, editors put pressure on media workers to compromise their professional ideas. The result is most often manipulated reports aimed at fitting the particular outlook of the particular media operations target audience. Thus, it's simply wrong to think that on the average, those who investigate, do research, write about things, and report the various media are any braver or ultimately any more principled than the rest of the population. As Julian Bender showed us in his 1928 book, The Betrayal of the Intellectuals, while it is, in fact, the job of those who research and report to remain independent of the ideologies and biases of both their community and their government, the truth that is often most often these people end up serving power. It is particularly the case when there is an atmosphere of patriotic fervor or just plain pressure from sources that can hurt one's career. At that point, you will find that bravery does exist, but it is the exception and not the rule. And the brave will, more often than not, stand alone. This is what's happening in the case of Julian Assange. Many American news outlets are willing to selectively use the documented evidence made available by WikiLeaks to do so, to draw on what the website has placed in the public domain. But they will not stand up and publicly defend the whistleblower who makes the information public. I imagine publishers, editors, media moguls, and the vast majority of those they employ just don't have the courage to support the individual who breaks some unprincipled law or regulation designed to enforce silence in retaliation to official crimes and hypocrisy. Usually, I call them prostitutes. When they say bend over, when the government says bend over, they go, how far, please? Truth, justice, and the good teacher's way get you nowhere, to you. Uncle Toms and Angel Moms that claim to be journalists. You're not more than frauds, posers, etc. And now we'll continue on here. A shared problem. The United States is certainly not the only country facing this dilemma. To one extent or another, this is a shared problem in all those lands claiming to have a free press. For example, a similar problem has long existed in Israel, where one finds a whole ethnicity whose journalists are too open to prosecution. Take the case of Omar Nizal, a member of the board of the Palestinian Journalists Syndicate. In a 10th August 2016 report appearing on the Line blog Plus 972 entitled Israeli Journalists Silenced as Their Palestinian Colleagues Are Jailed. We are told that Nizal was taken into custody by Israeli forces in April 2016 without charges. Like Assange, there has been an attempt after the fact to claim that Nizal is a criminal. It shouldn't best one of those Israeli security forces that only the naive and venal take at face value. Claims that he is a member of the Popular Liberation of Palestine, which they consider to be a terrorist organization. No proof of this charge has been publicly presented. Shin Bet claims the proof is secret. So they're just giving you a penile microphone. All right, folks, it's how these SOBs think. And Nizal denies any affiliation. As it turns out, the reason he was arrested somewhat parallels Assange's activity. At the time of the seizure, Nizal was on his way to Sarajevo for a meeting in the European Federation of Journalists. No doubt the Israelis did not want him telling true, documentable story to an organization of European journalists. Most Israeli Jewish journalists, like their American counterparts, remain silent, so do their respective publics. One might just ask how seriously the public wants a media that tells them the truth. The most watched cable news channel in the U.S. is Fox News, a media ally of Donald Trump that has no demonstrable interest in objective facts. It is more likely that Americans and others chose their news outlets on the basis of which one most often tells them what they want to hear. In other words, the search for accurate reporting is really driven by a desire for confirmation bias. So what is convenient for them? What do you have to say today? My role model on Fox News or CNN? Of course, those clown networks, I call them. Under these circumstances, it is easy to understand why for-profit media industry need not to be holding to the general citizenry of any idea of supplying fact-based news. This situation puts truth tellers like Assange, and in the case of Israel, Omar Nazal, in a bad position. They will have their defenders, but they will be outside the mainstream, because truth itself is also outside the mainstream. That is their predicament and ours as well. So the whole thing is, what he's saying is the war on journalism still continues. You got many of these investigative journalists getting taken out, thrown in prison, and all that, and whistleblowers. It's not just happening in the United States, but it's happening everywhere else, including Israel, Russia, Malta, etc. Most folks have been dead. Look, great example, William Cooper, who does the show Hour of the Time, got taken out November 5th, 2001, who wants to by putting out more information about 9/11 attacks was more, I would say, more than just some crazy maniacs, 19 hijackers, okay? He got taken out. And of course, and another one too, Jim Keith, the late great Jim Keith, who wrote the book Black Helicopters Over America. And everyone thought he was a nut job. Now look what happened. That man's dead. And we can go on and on and on. We can go from Michael Hastings too, from Rolling Stone magazine. Oh yeah, he crashed into a tree. Can you explain why the motor went like 30 yards away from the fire, from his vehicle? Come on. And you got all these clowns out there. They say, oh, I'm a journalist, and they're just a bunch of bend over Bobs and Angel Mamas to the state. Okay? That's not real journalism. Those are for posers, prostitutes. Plain and simple. That's why I don't focus on most of this mainstream garbage you see on TV. It's more garbage. I'd rather take a dump. I find that more inspiring. That's how you got to look at it, my friends. And I want to add a link to this as well about the Independent News International, which is mostly nonprofit sites, and it gives you a whole rundown of articles and all that, including FloridaBulldog.org, which they're a nonpartisan investigative journalist website as well. They're based out of Florida. Very good. Support these people. And trust me, that's real journalism. You want merit. You don't want this trendy garbage they're trying to shove down our throats. It's like the same crap, but a different spin. It's boring. All right? It is completely boring. So that's how I look at it. Okay? So, and I'm going to do one more here on this. And this one here actually came from News Reviews. And this one's entitled, Do You Trust the Government? I got the folks on my show. Do you trust them? Do you? Well, we'll just let's read what Dave Dunbar has to say about that. All right, it goes like this. I was born in 1952 and grew up in a time when most things involving the government were noble and respected. It grieves me to say that today I no longer trust the government. How about you? Do you have trust in your government? Do you believe that the government has your best interests at heart? Can you name one department of the government that has not become bloated, corrupted, and unaccountable to anyone other than some other agency of the government? It all has become danged political that actual justice is now a byword from a long gone era. Do you trust the government? Well, so is your old man. Well, I mean, if you are anywhere near my age, you'll remember that phrase as commonplace 50 years ago. For those of you born in the 21st century, the phrase simply meant it takes on to no one. Hypocrisy is nothing new in America. It has simply become more commonplace. I remember driving down the road a few years ago when I saw a political billboard that featured a candidate running for a county prosecutor. I'll put the criminals behind bars where they belong, was the caption that overlaid the picture from some greasy-looking candidate. Hey, dude, I screamed at the billboard as I drove. That's not your stinking job. Your job is to provide justice, not to put criminals behind bars. Our criminal justice system is nothing more but a politicized gotcha game with the lives of innocent being the ante of poker on the poker game we call the courts. The purpose of justice is to protect the innocents, not create criminals. So that guy who was a prosecutor, he called himself a prostituter. Okay, I want to continue on here. Is there anything more frightful than a visit from a government agent? Too often the criminal justice system is not interested in justice. How many lives do you know that have been destroyed by a legal system intent on winning rather than upholding justice. The law is an ass, and lawyers and judges love it that way. I hate what has happened to our nation. I hate the division caused by those who use the government to divide and conquer us. I hate the criminal justice system where one side of the nation roots for the guilt of the president while other side of roots for his innocence. The justice system is not a football game where fans root for winners or losers. All of us should root for justice. As Dr. King wrote from the Birmingham jail, justice is justice anywhere is injustice everywhere. What has happened to America? I want America to be great. I want America to be successful. I want Americans to play by the same set of rules, and I desire that all Americans be judged by those same set of rules. But this is not happening in America anymore. I don't care what your politics are or which dog you are pulling for in the hunt. Our multi-tiered system of justice is not good for anyone. Do you really think the criminal justice system is blind? Do you really think that our justice system works when not everyone has access to the same thing, justice, regardless of their social standing in life? When it comes to the right and wrong, don't you think that it's time that we all stop rooting for our team? Do we really think justice is blind? What are you talking about, Willis? Lying is no longer shameful. The end now justifies the means. That is the genesis of fake news. The people lie in order to make sure their team wins. Everyone lies. Half-truth is still a lie. If Hillary is guilty, then we should demand justice. If Trump is guilty, then we should demand justice. So, is your old man a poor reason to root for the other guy to lose? Our nation cannot survive where dishonesty, graft, and personal destruction masquerades as justice. We have become a sick society. Morality is not relative no matter what they teach in our public schools. Some things are right, some things are wrong, and from the founding of this nation over 242 years ago, the standard of right and wrong was the Christian Bible. A nation cannot exist when the standards by which we all agree to treat each other has been reduced to grading on a curve. One set of rules and one set of rules for you just cannot work. One set of rules for me and one set of rules for you just cannot work. Forgive me there, my friends. The witch hunt of president is not good for America. The investigative double standard is appalling. Neither side roots for justice. God does not respect one man than another. We are all equal in his eyes. That is where the idea of justice comes from. Any person who is treated unfairly by our government should have support of every other citizen. But the scale by which behavior will not be judged has been tampered with. There is only one truth, and we should all endeavor to find it, not alter it. It matters not which side you are on, nor which political party you swing the pom-poms for. We must all strive for justice, which is nothing more than equal protection under the law. We were all created equal in the eyes of the law. That governing principle must remain paramount, or we will continue to slide into decadence. The average Joe cannot get a fair shake from government when Lady Justice is peeking out from her blindfold. So let me repeat my question to you. Do you trust your government from local to federal? Do you really believe that they endeavor to do what is right, or are they nothing more than arduous taskmaster hell-bent on forcing compliance with unrighteous edicts? It is time we stop rooting for candidates and start once again to root for justice. Injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. Grading on the curve has not worked. Perhaps that's why you don't trust the government. Folks must think that God grades on a curve. I gotta give them credit for this. It doesn't matter what your faith is, my friends. It's rather principle. Always gotta look at things in the bigger picture. And even George Washington said the United States wasn't created on the foundation based on Christianity, but principles. Yeah, they did have a Bible for their reference. Means books of multiple books, grand jury, and the right to fair trial, known as the defendant's innocent until proven guilty, came from ancient Judea. I think, which is fantastic. So I'm not going to go Bible bashing. I go after statism, of course. Everyone has natural born rights, regardless of what you look like. I don't believe in this white privilege crap. That's garbage. I wipe my rear end with it. I don't need to call the government and go, government, can I make love to my wife tonight? Government, can I take a dump? Government, can I go to the store? Government, can I speak my mind? Can I do my podcast tonight? Come on. That's a privilege. That's permission. I don't need that. None of us have it. None of us should ever use it. Have that. It's irrelevant. It's nothing more than Orwellian propaganda. Do you trust the government? I recommend you folks reading The Declaration of Independence by Thomas Jefferson. It's self-explanatory. Do you want the government to tell you what kind of firearms you can own? Even if you're capable of using it? You want the government to protect you? Then you're in a wet dream. You're trapping yourself. Don't suck me into it. Because people like that are nothing more than trees in this quacks. That's right. That's how I look at the world. Okay? I'm a natural born person. I'm not some number to anyone. Plain and simple. Well, that is it. I guess I had a little, not dismal day, but annoying. However, I'm not angry. Sometimes it's just like we all do at our days. But it's all well and good. So please feel free to download and share throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or if you send something that's interesting, man, I want to check out. Whatever you do, please address your correspondence with decorum. You can hit me on all the social media sites: Facebook, Twitter, Google+, One Way, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Minds, Gab, FutureNet, Freedoms Network, Buddy List, Real Liberty, World Truth, MX, YouTube, Loki Luck number 3, or Patreon, which is /LokiLuck with 3 eyes. If you want to be a donor, that'd be awesome. In addition, you can email me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or to your encrypted one, especially the Proton Mail account, LokiLuck03@ProtonMail.com. All right, my friends. I know I've just been had those little days, but it's okay. I'll take care of all my little minor adjustments for the next show. All right, my friends. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that the demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading the love. And may your guardian spirits be with you.